Yeah, so as a senior executive HR leader, I'm very intentional about how we think about leadership, and we do put people on a particular track. And there's so many things that go into doing that. So one, the most important thing is you hire right. It always starts with talent acquisition, and you can pretty much, if you have a good strategy in place to interview, and it is the difference between the art and the science as an art, to really being able to do that skillfully. Yeah. But once you get them in the door, it's an onboarding process. Then there's a goal setting process. Then there's a performance review process. Then through the performance review process, there's a talent assessment process. Then from the talent assessment process, there's a succession planning process. And then through the succession planning process and doing the performance reviews, you start to try to identify your high potential leaders. And then whoever your high potential leaders are, you typically want to create an individual development plan for them in terms of how they want to get there. So it is a track and a process to do that. And again, there's this whole thing called 9-box, where you start to put people low potential, high performance, low performance, high potential, and assess people through that process. So there is a track that you want to put people on, but it starts with hiring first, onboarding properly, and then developing them, giving them opportunities, providing coaching, providing mentorship, giving them cross-functional opportunities, and testing to see what they can do. I think you mentioned it. Some people, they may self-select out. And because you have a person who's high potential, one period, they may not be, that high potential may not always be there.
So you fickle, right?
It's something you have to assess over a certain period of time. And if you are doing it properly, like they say, the cream rises to the top. Again, some people want that pressure. They want those opportunities. They want the advancement, and you have to develop that. I'm a product of that. I've always wanted that smoke. I've always wanted that person, wanted to be that guy who got the challenges to show that I can deliver. But those are some of the ways we try to identify and develop leaders to be the next leaders in the organization.
When done right, 9-box is phenomenal. When done wrong, 9-box is a threat to the organization, right?
Yep.
Because if 9-box is being set solely by the department head and not by the full leadership of the organization, the number of times I've taken over a team where it's these 3 people are low potential, low performance, and within 18 months they're promoted, they weren't responding to their boss, or their boss wasn't utilizing them the right way, or they were in the wrong role. It's one of the reasons, like, I will never come into an organization and just start terminating people, right? Because at the end of the day, it's how do they respond to the new leadership in place? So much of our performance is predicated on the following of the leader above them, right? And are the KPIs set, the actual KPIs you want the organization that you want to hit? They're not always. So I agree with you. 9-box is critically important, but it has to be deployed right and with the right number of people counterbalancing and providing 360-degree feedback.
So I just want to make one more comment, and this is where I'll really plug HR. I agree with everything he's saying. This is why it's so critical that HR is running that process, and your HR leaders know how to run that process. So for me, I worked at some great organizations like GE, Pepsi, Nestle, where this was ingrained into me very early on, how to do talent identification. And his point is 100% valid. If that 9-box is not done properly, it could be detrimental for the organization. But this is where the HR team also is making sure they're sitting with their business leaders, their frontline managers, making sure they're asking the right questions, making sure goals are very tight. They're SMART goals, not read a book, but it's a very specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely goal that says, hey, if I do this, I'm going to achieve X, Y, Z. There's some strong measurables behind that. If that exists, if that's present, your 9-box should work. 100%.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle on this a little bit. I 100% agree with the messaging around this. But for the employee side of it, if I am the employee that is looking to stretch, we talked about self-selecting out. Absolutely. But why are they self-selecting out? Is it because I really only identify with 70% of that job description. So I don't think I have the right opportunity or the skill set. Sometimes we miss so much of that great talent. And depending on the size of the organization, that filters out quite substantially as well. And I also segregate and separate a little bit between, what type of position is this? Are we talking an entry level, early career? Are we talking mid-career or more senior level? But depending on for those individuals that are looking for growth and development, if you have the aspiration for it, don't self-select out purely because of the job description. Have those conversations with the HR, with the chief people officer, with the roles, and see, hey, I'm very interested in this for personal growth or for whatever that opportunity may present itself as. But at the same time, here's where I see maybe I have some opportunities where I need to expand my experience or exposure.
And to your point, leadership and title are very different things.
Yes.
Right. One of the best leaders I ever worked with in my career never achieved past national account manager. Not that he couldn't do it. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to be able to coach his kids' little league and do all those things. But when he was in the room and he spoke, everyone stopped and listened. And it didn't matter if it was the CEO of the company or an entry-level person. That's how irreverent he was in the culture. You can lead from any box in the org chart.
Luke, I just want to make one comment, and this is us being transparent. Leadership is not for everybody. Everybody, they think they want it, and they get into that role regardless of what level, and it's sometimes more than what they thought it was. So leadership is a progressive thing. It is a ongoing developmental thing. Like you said yourself, you're still developing as a leader. You're still learning new things. But to me, it's those who are persistent, those who are willing to stay with it, those who have the courage, those who fine with taking risk. There's so much that goes into this leadership thing. So I agree with you. I would not want anybody who really wants to be a leader to self-select out. I've made many mistakes, but the reason I think I'm a good leader is because I learned from those mistakes and I had more opportunities to recover from those. I didn't self-select out. I was willing to take the smoke and I kept going. So I agree. What is the job? What is it that we're really asking you to do? But understand leadership is an ongoing progressive thing.